then you will hear, statements that Honorable Deputy CM said just before, a few days before an event, and I was sitting on the dais when he was saying that not even God can save Bangalore and solve the problem of traffic. This kind of statement comes only when you have totally misplaced priority and complete misunderstanding of why public transport exists in the city. The second important reason why public transport exists in our cities is to solve the problem of traffic congestion. Are they another mobility business like Ola or Uber or some other company who is providing mobility service and earning business from that? There could be a financial distress to the BMRCL, we don't deny, but who should take the onus of that? Not the fare paying commuters. You are ready to pump in or invest almost 20,000 crore rupees to just construct a small 18-kilometer of tunnel, and then add up to so many other tunnels that the government wants to construct or elevated road corridors, etc. Put together, it's almost 100,000 crore. I can't even count how many zeros are there in this. Can somebody tell how many zeros will be there in 100,000 crore? If government is really interested, I was lamenting the Deputy CM comment, if he is really interested in a research and data-based evidence, in 2 hours I can explain him what he can do in 3 years to solve the problem of traffic congestion. But they are not interested in that, unfortunately. By the name public transport itself, quote unquote public. Public transport means it's a service for public good. It's an aspect of social welfare which is an obligation of the government. Any government that is sitting in the power, it's their social obligation to provide a service that provides minimum and affordable level of accessibility to all sections of people living in the city. The poorest of people, low income, low middle income, and would, ideally will desire that higher income people also use public transport so that we can solve the problem of traffic congestion. So we have to first understand, before we even think about what this petrol fare hike means, is why public transport system exists in the city in first place. Why are they there in the first place? Are they another mobility business like Ola or Uber or some other company who is providing mobility service and earning business from that? Is that what for which public transport system exists, whether it is metro or bus? No, that's not the case. They are there because there is a fundamental obligation of the government to provide, as I said, a minimum affordable accessibility to all sections of the society. But I would say there are 3 fundamental reasons why public transport exists in any city, including Bengaluru. First, as I said, to provide affordable accessibility to all, whether it is student, whether it is a garment worker, whether it is a safai karmchari, whether it is a security person working somewhere, etc., etc. Everybody should have a affordable access. And when I say access, the word accessibility is different than mobility. Mobility is all about creating faster ways of travel, which is why when we talk about mobility, the focus is all on high speed road corridors, increasing the speed of vehicles, etc., etc. But accessibility is different. It's not necessary that when you provide faster ways of travel, it will make accessibility easy for everybody. Accessibility in a pure technical way is basically from a given area, how easily accessible are places of employment using public transport or using any other means, how easily accessible are places of education for students like you who are sitting here, school student, college student, etc., or how easily accessible are healthcare facilities, etc., etc. That's a more fundamental requirement and focus that we should have. From any given area in the city, how accessible are these places which are part of our daily requirement and daily livelihood needs. And focus should be to improve this accessibility from every part of the city. Even if you are living in the outskirts area of the city, how well you are accessible to all these places. That's more important, using public transport. So that's one important reason why public transport exists. The second important reason why public transport exists in our cities is to solve the problem of traffic congestion. Now, how do you solve the problem of traffic congestion using public transport? Now, usually when we categorize all sets of commuters means those who are traveling daily for their work or education, into either captive riders or choice riders. Captive riders are the one who do not have access to their any personal vehicle. You may not have a ownership or access to a personal two-wheeler or a car. You are dependent for your travel needs or your accessibility needs on public transport or walk or maybe cycle, depending upon if you have a cycle. Okay, those are captive riders. Choice riders are the one who have access to other possible modes like their personal two-wheeler, personal car, Ola, Uber, etc. based on their income levels and affordability. So the idea is that public transport should on the one side help captive riders to have a affordable access, but it should also be made attractive so that a lot of those choice riders who are currently using their two-wheelers or cars, etc. are able to leave their vehicles and come onto public transport. Now, how public transport helps to solve the traffic congestion problem? If you have a bus carrying 40 people or 50 people, if the same 50 people are traveling on their own personal vehicles, you can imagine how much of road space they will occupy. So if those 50 people are traveling in the bus, instead of traveling in a two-wheeler or a car, you are able to save that much of road space. You are able to decongest that much of road space. Same logic would also apply for a metro. If a metro train is carrying around 1,000-1,500 persons together in a train of say 3 coach, 6 coach, whatever it be, same amount of people, if they were to travel on their personal vehicles, you can imagine how many number of vehicles will be there on the road. So this is a clear aspect of space efficiency in the use of road space that public transport brings. So if you have more and more people using public transport, leaving their personal vehicles, you will be able to decongest roads also. That's how you will be able to solve traffic problems. And I've been saying this in every forum where I get opportunity, that if this city needs to have a sustainable transport solution for all sections of the society, if the city is able to provide a good quality of life to all of you or better livability overall for the city, at least 80% of all trips happening in a day should be happening on public transport, walking and cycling together, at least 80%. Now what happens when you increase the fare hike? There is always something, technically we call it as demand elasticity. That means when there is a unit change in the unit increase in the fare, there will be corresponding percentage reduction in the demand. And this is exactly now we are seeing actually with the fall in ridership of the metro every day, the numbers that are coming out from their own ridership figures, that their ridership have come down. It's very simple and clear. The moment you have certain unit increase in the fare, there will be corresponding decrease in the ridership. So when there is a decrease in the ridership, where are those people going? Maybe some may be going to buses, but others who were choice riders might go back to two-wheeler and car. Now how to retain them or how to keep them, how to have maximum people from car and two-wheeler or choice riders to be using public transport when your cost of travel from your door till you reach your destination, the gate of your college or the gate of your place where you work, that total journey, the cost of that total journey using public transport versus using two-wheeler versus using car. If using public transport it is lesser than using two-wheeler for the same door-to-door travel, or using car for the same door-to-door travel, then people will find it attractive to use metro services. But now with fare hike, in many cases, many door-to-door travel, the cost by using two-wheeler would actually be lesser than using by metro. So obviously you will see a shift to two-wheeler, or those who also have access to car, they might find it more attractive to use the car now. This is what will happen. So what would be the effect of the fare hike in terms of traffic congestion? It's going to aggravate the traffic congestion, because now you have more people shifting from there, because of the fare hike, for many people it becomes an unattractive choice. The third purpose for which public transport exists in the city is to help solve the problems of emissions, air quality, climate mitigation, this greenhouse gas emissions, quality of life, public health. These are all development goals which are closely linked to use of public transport. And each one of them, we have done enough of research to explain when there are more people using public transport, there is a reduction in tailpipe emissions altogether from motorized vehicles. There is also a reduction in the greenhouse gases. There is also a improvement in the air quality, because the AQI nowadays that we keep looking at, air quality index, that air quality index also comes down because there are lesser tailpipe emissions contributing to it. And the net effect of that would be improvement in the public health. The exposure to pollutant goes down, PM 2.5, PM 10, that exposure goes down. So your public health also improves, which means that the expenditure on public health also goes down. Your personal expenditure as well as the expenditure of the government on health cost also goes down. These are all added benefits, and all together if you sum up, you will see that there will be improvement in the quality of life and livability in the city. So these are all added benefits. So these are three fundamental purposes. So when you are increasing the fare, you are actually impacting all the three. Not just the affordability of using these services, but there is an overarching impact. So I would say there is a larger socio-economic impact of fare hike, which if the fare fixation committee will never go into detail. If you ask them, they will not have done any such consideration while trying to decide the fare. Okay, that's the first thing. I had a good discussion just a week back with the MD of BMRCL also, and I discussed there could be a financial distress to the BMRCL, we don't deny, but who should take the onus of that? Not the fare paying commuters. It should be the onus on the government, state and central both, to ensure that these corporations are paid enough by government directly, so that the fares are not burdened and they keep providing the positive impact on all the three aspects that I said. Unfortunately, government is also not able to think this whole and understand this whole responsibility and the core function of public transport for which it exists in the city. In the absence of that, then you will hear statements that Honorable Deputy CM said just before, a few days before an event, and I was sitting on the dais when he was saying that not even God can save Bangalore and solve the problem of traffic. This kind of statement comes only when you have totally misplaced priority and complete misunderstanding of why public transport exists in the city. As you were saying, then it's not a corporate, it's not another business entity that you're running here. No, it's for a public good, it's for a social welfare for which you are. So when you have lost that understanding, and on the other side you are ready to pump in or invest almost 20,000 crore rupees to just construct a small 18-kilometer of tunnel, and then add up to so many other tunnels that the government wants to construct, or elevated road corridors, etc. Put together, it's almost 1 lakh of crore. I can't even count how many zeros are there in this. Can somebody tell how many zeros will be there in 1 lakh crore? That's the money that they are ready and they are very eager and keen to pump into road infrastructure. If you use the same amount of money to buy more trains for metro, so that they can run their services and also more frequently increase the train length from 6 coach to 9 coach, run more frequent services, reduce the fares of the metro so that they are affordable, increase more buses in the city so that the access increases, the first mile, last mile increases. They can do a lot more with the same amount of money that they are ready to pump into road infrastructure. This is all a classic case of completely misplaced priority. And there are scientific evidences. I have been here in the city for 16 years. And we have, researched A to Z of mobility and transport. If government is really interested, I was lamenting the Deputy CM comment, if he is really interested in a research and data-based evidence, in 2 hours I can explain him what he can do in 3 years to solve the problem of traffic congestion. But they are not interested in that, unfortunately. That's where the whole problem is.